With that, I recognize the ranking member, Mr. Green, for 5 minutes. The gentleman from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I thank the witnesses for appearing as well. And Mr. Chairman, I would properly label this hearing the MetLife hearing. It appears to me that we are going to be abundantly fair and make sure that MetLife has a fair hearing. But I see a double standard. I see a double standard because in 2001, when women brought a gender discrimination lawsuit against MetLife, it was not litigated in Congress. It was litigated in court. When employment discrimination lawsuits have been brought against MetLife, they've not been litigated in Congress. They were litigated in court. When disabled persons filed lawsuits against MetLife, they were not litigated in Congress. They were litigated in court. And the day before MetLife sued in the current litigation that it has in the D.C. court, MetLife was sued for having what has been called a shadow insurance practice. That will be litigated in court. It will not be litigated in the Congress of the United States of America. There's a double standard. If you're a hard-working American and you've got litigation, you will go to court, you will have to hire your lawyers, and you'll have to defend. But if you're a $900 billion company, you can file your case in the Congress of the United States of America. Well, someone would say, but how do you know they asked for this? If they didn't ask for it and they're getting it, I think it makes it even more egregious that we would, of our own volition, decide that we are going to make sure MetLife gets a fair hearing. But I thank God that there are federal courts, and those federal courts are going to hear the case, at least one in particular, and you can't intimidate federal judges. Federal judges have lifetime appointments. So I just hope that we in the future can be as fair to hardworking Americans, people who find themselves in need of some assistance, that we can be as fair to them as we will be to MetLife. Case in point, the ranking member and I sent a letter to the ranking member, the chair of this committee and the full committee, asking for a hearing concerning allegations of discrimination in a major financial institution. And when we sent that letter, we did it in good faith, assuming that since we were having discrimination hearings, we would have a discrimination hearing with reference to the allegations of discrimination at this major financial institution. Well, it turns out that we couldn't do that. We received a letter back from my colleagues, whom I love dearly, by the way, Mr. Henseling and Mr. McHenry at the time, not you, Mr. Chairman. But it reads, in part, we trust that the reason you elected not to investigate these matters when you controlled the House is because you believe, as we do, that Congress should not exercise its investigative prerogatives with respect to matters of fact and law that are currently being adjudicated in federal court. Somewhat similar to what we are encountering today. MetLife, down the street in a D.C. court, case that we were asking about was in court. MetLife has its case litigated before the Congress of the United States of America. Hardworking Americans with allegations of discrimination can't get such a hearing. But now there's an exception. If you happen to be the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, aka the CPB, you can have your witnesses come over and have allegations of discrimination leveled against you, because that's the agency that's designed to protect the consumer. And there are people who want to eliminate that agency. So it's okay to make allegations of discrimination with reference to them, but not with reference to these major financial institutions. Of course, there's been the allegation made that, well, we don't regulate these major banking institutions. Interesting point, given that we have something called a Financial Services Committee, and a financial institutions subcommittee, it just seems to me like it would be something we would look into. I will have more to say on these points, and I yield back the balance of my time, Mr. Chairman. I thank you.